quite sure it works. Okay. Hello, everybody. This is It Today Happen. I am Paladin, as always, and I am joined today in a very first interview format by our dearest and most loveliest Ande or Anti-Manisto. Manisto, Ande. I'll just refer to you as Ande today. I hope you are fine with this, but Anti, and how is your surname pronounced? Manisto?
Mannisto.
Mannisto. Yeah, I try.
In Finnish, everything is pronounced exactly as it's written, so it's easy.
Okay, that's good.
Turbosliders is Turbosliders.
I try to get used to it because I mean Turbosliders is at least 50% Finnish. So the whole community, every race I join, it's at least 50% Finnish flag. So you have to integrate, basically. V2 I already know well. So
and you get to learn this rally Finnish or rally English. I can also have my Finnish accent, which is called this rally English thing.
Yeah. That is an amazing thing for rally driving in general. But this brings me to the first, let's call it, set of questions, because I mean you programmed the very old turbo sliders because you wanted to recreate the feeling you had in Slip and Slide.
Yeah, Slicks and Slide.
Slicks and Slide, sorry. I have read it multiple times and I still can't remember it. So, but in general, what brought you into racing games? Are you like only a motorsport fan, or did you drive cars yourself as in Finnish rallies? Something like this?
I'm no rally driver or anything like that. I have done some, not as a hobby, but some karting driving, of course, like everybody has, like, but not as a hobby or anything like that. But what brought me to racing games was basically that I was, of course, playing all kinds of games, but I've always been quite competitive, and with racing games, that was a good way for two people to play against each other, or two or more people. Back in the very old times with Commodore 64, there were some games like Pit Stop 2 where two players could play together, and that was really cool back at that time. And then a bit later with Amiga, it was supercars and Slicks and Slide, as mentioned. And especially when four people were playing with the same keyboard, it was lots of fun. And that, as I had told many times, that was the main reason for me to start making the old turbo sliders, just to experience that feeling again. And I was surprised that nobody had made online version of that game, so I started to make the old game, which was basically supposed to be just like Slicks and Slide with online multiplayer.
Back then, and maybe even now, are you satisfied with the outcome? It's a difficult question, because from what I know of myself and a lot of other people's, you have a vision of, for example, like when I want to do a video, I have exactly a vision in my head of how I want it to look, but I never achieved that vision. Is it the same thing with making games, or are you actually saying, no, this is exactly what I envisioned?
Yeah, of course, with the old turbo sliders, if you go back to that, then it was I was quite happy about how it worked, but then I started to add other stuff also, like it was much more tunable, or you could add your own game modes and stuff like that. So I made all the settings available for people to tune. We can talk about that more later, but in that sense, it grew to be something a bit different than I thought, which was a good thing, because I enabled people to make their own settings and own cars and everything. Then they started to do that, and they made some of the most popular modes were like speedway modes and something like that were not something I even thought about initially. And also the Punapal, the soccer game, that was added by players, that I later added support for that. So in that sense, it became something bigger than I I thought, in a good sense. And about this new game, I've also told this many times, but the reason to start making was that people wouldn't stop playing the old game, and they kept asking me to make me
that's a good thing, probably. But I mean, the funny thing is, right now with you, like I think it was yesterday or on Sunday where you wrote it, where you said, hey, I reactivated the old forums and I tried to reach out to as many people as possible. So you are now making the turn back to make the step forward again, to message the old people from the old TSU to get to unlimited, so that they actually can relive their dreams again in another interpretation. That's very interesting.
I saw many people have talked about some old players, and I have asked me to, is there some way to send message to all the old players? And actually, I wasn't the admin in that forum, or I was, but I didn't really do anything. So it was community driven. So I didn't even know what software it was using and stuff like that. So that's the hard thing I did, was just somehow figure out talking with AI to find out how to activate it. But I don't know if it's going to stay active, because I don't even own the site where that is. But yeah, so what was the actual question now? I forgot.
I forgot as well, honestly, but let me check the note.
You also asked about how the vision was completed for Turbo Sliders Unlimited, I guess.
Oh yeah, true.
That's in many ways, at least technically, many of the things. It has actually, if I could go 5 years back in the time and show that this is what I got, I would be probably amazed that I actually managed to pull that through. That it's a huge amount of work that already has been put to that, and many people might say that insane. And of course, you could always hope that there will be more players and so on. But I'm still very happy about the quality of the players and community. That's so good.
True. I have to agree with you. Of course, it would be. I mean, I mostly played Turbo Sliders Unlimited because the competition is so great and the netcode is awesome and it feels very well, and I can drive whatever car that I like, depending on if someone has set it up. But in general, let's stay like this. But it's also interesting that the community itself, why we are still like, I don't know, 50 to 60 really active members, it's always a very nice community feeling, and it's something I think you should be very proud of. That's the nice thing. And of course, maybe that's the core people. Of course, there are much more players who play randomly sometimes and so on, but I guess the hard thing is to somehow communicate and make the game accessible enough for more people, so that actually people would. And that's sometimes sad to see. Now that I made first, the game didn't have single player, and people were complaining that if there's not enough players online, then they cannot play. And then when I made single player, now most people complain that it's too hard or it's not. Yeah. I read some of the Steam reviews as well, and I thought to myself, I understand where you are coming from, but come on, other people play Dark Souls as an afternoon treat, and then it's okay. And I think, honestly, it's okay that games are hard from time to time. It's like this. I mean, over like a couple of weeks ago, I was on vacation 2 weeks, and I used like 1 week to play through a lot of Medieval 2 Total War.
Yeah.
And I had to restart my campaign twice because I failed. And I think that's okay. And I think it's also okay, even though I would also see myself complaining, I think it's okay that, the AI is hard, because then you have a challenge, you are prepared for the real stuff, and then you can go on and drive in competitions or do whatever you like.
Yeah, but, and in TSU also, that it's not the main mode, but of course when people review the game, if they start the game, if you just press a button, that's where you go to the
I mean, for the problem, or not the problem, but I think this is because a lot of people are just used to the single player being like the vanilla custom game mode that the vanilla normal game mode that everybody plays, and multiplayer is just for idiots with too much time on their head. But I think in Turbo Sliders, it's, yes, the single player is fine, but honestly, I don't think I have a lot of stars collected in a lot of the time trials and in a lot of the AI races, because I never have the time for that, you know. Either I have a competition to train for, or oh, there's a new track on the workshop, and then you are like stuck 2 hours training this one, and it's just interesting. But what interests me is, I mean, I know the vision for Turbo Sliders Unlimited is in the name. It's unlimited, but I think the vehicle editor itself, which at the same time frightens me, because it's so much, but at the other side it's also amazing. Why, or what was your, maybe not inspiration, but why did you think, hey, this is a necessary tool, or a necessary thing that I want in my game? Because I can only imagine you must have spent 100 hours plus developing only the vehicle editor, and I think
for Turbo Sliders Unlimited, it had to be there because it was in Turbo Sliders also, so it would have been
okay.
It was not a feature, but so also the level editor, that was part of the original vision, that it must have almost everything that the old thing had, and because it's such an integral part of the experience that people can make their own vehicles, so it was part of the main vision basically. And of course in the new game the editor is much better than it was in the old one. If people who made vehicles with the old one remember that you had to edit text file and test it. So
okay, I have to ask Whiplash if this is true. Probably.
It was much harder, but of course the nice thing with the 2D was that you could make your own models more easily, and so that's something that PSU is still missing, and we have active discussions about that, and I would hope to make it somehow possible, but it's one of the other technical issues.
Do you think it's feasible for I forgot the name of the guy who showed the Blender model he made? Do you think it's something you can integrate in the game, or do you think it's rather hard to?
Well, at least in theory, if people can submit that to the Unity asset store, for example, so that has all the licenses, okay, and then probably it will need a couple of iterations. I will find something that's wrong in that, and if it can be fixed, I think that at least theoretically it is possible. But as usual, I'm not promising anything because it's always lots of work. You may have there might be some issues that I can think of now.
It could also be legally a very complicated case, no? If somebody uses like a model that is sort of looking like the real thing, and then you might run in trouble. I'm surprised that Toyota didn't sue you yet for using the car, honestly. But I mean,
well, that's the thing. That's one reason why I wanted to go through Unity Store, because when I buy it from Unity Store, then it's kind of their responsibility. And
okay.
At least that's how I hope it is. I don't know, maybe if the game becomes more popular and somebody sues me, but I've been I have all the cars I have taken are from there, and I have assumed that they are okay because they were sold there. So
okay, well, I think that is a good middle ground to fall on, because it's way better to rely on this store than to just take the risk on yourself. I think that's the way better decision.
Of course, it's a theoretical risk unless the game gets really huge and people actually start caring about it.
Yeah, true, but
still, of course.
But I think if the game gets really huge, then you can find other possibilities of managing these kinds of issues.
Yeah,
it should be all right, in my opinion. Is there anything you would do differently today regarding the development of Turbo Sliders or Turbo Sliders Unlimited?
Yeah, of course, in many ways. About my history, that Turbo Sliders is over 20 years old, so that was before I actually went to games industry. So since I made Turbo Sliders, I worked 20 years in real game companies making real games. So of course I have learned a lot, but still many of the basic principles are still surprisingly the same, especially if you talk about the online netcode later. I can talk about that, and it's funny how much of the original design that you seem to like, for example, is still exactly the same.
I mean, that would be maybe that would be my next question, because I only have praises for this, but this is also mainly down to because I played Circuit Superstars beforehand and I love this game. I think it looks fantastic and the driving physics. Why not to everybody's liking? I think the driving was fantastic, but you couldn't have nice online competitions.
I can still talk about the previous question, but we can get back to this because if
that's also okay.
what to do differently. So if you get to this current game, then I said that I'm quite happy about at least the technical state of that. That many things are good or even better than I thought that I would be able to do it through in 5 years. So in that sense, I'm happy. But as mentioned, there are those things like maybe the single player should be easier and stuff like that, and some technical things like if I had an infinite amount of time, maybe I should make up my own road system instead of relying the current one that has some. It's, don't get me wrong, I don't want to badmouth the asset that I'm using, but it's really great and enabled me to make the level editor so quickly I did, but still it has caused lots of pain with all the issues, and now there are ways to make it crash or show errors that I can't do anything about. And one thing I am proud about the game is that it's quite stable, and if there any crash, I will do anything I can to fix that. But it's very hard when the crash is in that part of code that you have no black box that I cannot touch or fix. Then it's not open source, so I can't fix it. So that's problematic in that sense. But otherwise, what to do differently, of course. What should be done differently would be marketing and stuff like that. And what also, like as I mentioned, I've been in the real game industry for a long time and worked with real game designers. So I have learned a lot of them, but also this is in one way this TSU is my way to do things my way instead of how it should be done. So it's in the sense this also way to do stuff that no real designers would let me do. Like one example is one thing that makes the game good, but also confusing to some, that you have so many options and you have so many different game modes and you have so many things. It's like a sandbox, and it's great thing for people who use it and make their own modes, but it can be very confusing for new players who go to event settings.
I think it took me over a week to understand how to set up like a normal hot lapping race station or something like this for me with fuel and tires, and I know I feel everybody that is just overwhelmed by the huge list of things to do.
Yeah. But of course, I try to make that there. You have the campaign now that you can quickly go to campaign. Then you have the quick game that sets up basic games. So at least you should be able to get to basic games. But of course, if you don't go into all those settings, you will miss 90% of the game. That's the problem.
I think you need also some kind of mental readiness to be able to enjoy this stuff. So I think this is like not an issue, but I think people need to be prepared for this, so that the people then understand, okay, yes, this is like the base, like the 10% you just described with quick game and single player, but then you need like 15 hours of tutorial material to explain, okay, this can be done like this, and you can also use this and this, because the crazy thing is, you can, if you want, you can set up a racetrack like, I don't know, Nordschleife Sim, use missiles, play a sumo race, have tires and fuel, and all of this is simply possible, but you have to click like 15 menus. But it works, it just works.
And when you start the game for the first time, there is actually now this pop-up that tells that tries to list all the things you can do, but I'm pretty sure nobody reads it.
Oh no.
That's it. You can open the same page on the main page, but I don't think anybody accidentally pushes that button.
I think I have done once, but I have closed it really fast.
too much text, and it should be some tutorial or something. But still, that's the kind of things that, if this was a bit more commercial game, if there was a real designer that
then it would have to be very polished. But I mean, honestly,
they would remove so many features that I would hate it.
Yeah. I think it's a huge part of the charm that actually makes turbo sliders.
Yeah, that's the thing. That if there was a real designer, 80% of the features would be removed or turned into another game. So there had been ideas like how about making just slice of the game as a more polished version or something like that, but then it would require some
Turbo Sliders Limited then.
Unlimited, the limited.
But you would have already done the branding for this with limited and unlimited. Yeah. You know, you can sell limited as a like a monthly subscription for €5, and then people who want unlimited, they pay you 50 extra.
In the ideal case, that would require much more players. It would be so that
true.
People just play join button and they see all kinds of servers. They will pick that, hey, I will be this game mode, I will be that game mode. But that would require some 10 times more players or even more to and you would need more. And I'm very happy about all the people who now are organizing these events, and it's super great. But you would still need 10 times more to have games going on all the time, and that's challenging with my marketing resources. And
true. I mean, I have organized some stuff myself. I try to participate in the stuff I like, or in the stuff I know I have the time to do well in, but it's still like in OSCR, which yes, it's NASCAR, it's not for everybody, but you know, we are most of the time like 10 drivers, and this is like sometimes you think, it would be so cool to have a full grid, but the problem is, if we have a full grid, then I can't score wins anymore, so it's give and take, you know.
That's maybe one potential problem also, that if there are games running and random player goes to join, and the player he or she can join any kind of game, so it would be you have no you can't control what kind of experience
it can either be somebody getting into motherfucker, or somebody joining the nastiest F1 lobby where everybody is tryharding and everybody prepared for 7 weeks, and then this is I think also sometimes something that is annoying for new players, because you go into multiplayer, you see, oh nice, a lobby with 70 drivers, then you click in and it's the F1 lobby, and you are lucky and you don't join on race day when there's like short practice races, and then you start the car and think, hey, that doesn't feel at all like speedy or sporty or drifty, and I think this is but I think this is also something that we as a community should communicate maybe a little bit better to new drivers. But on the other hand, we are not really prepared for new drivers. We are so full of ourselves in the positive and in the negative way, because I mean
I still think it's much friendlier than it used to be with the old game, because I remember specifically maybe 10 years ago or something like that. I didn't play the old game much myself, but I went to some random game, I saw the game running, and I was happy to see people playing it. And then I saw some new player appearing, and it didn't take a long time when the new guy was basically kicked out. Get the fuck out of here.
Oh no! I think we did this also once in the V8 series. I think it must have been like one of the later races where we had the new player in, and then we say, oh, shit, we have to kick him. We can't. We want to do our championship race, and it was an intense battle, you know. And then you have a new guy just know how to turn, and it was a mess. But we tried to tell him diplomatically, and then we just threw him out.
That's actually fun. I guess that's maybe related to something like that. I don't know. Not to you, but some other game that probably Pauli's game or something, that I noticed that there's some guy who has now played the game 300 hours or something like that.
Yeah.
Negative review because he got kicked out of a game once because of driving the wrong way or something. Something like that.
Yeah, I mean, this is like the 2,000 plus review of Skyrim of people saying, the game is not that good actually. But let's. the problem is I really want to learn about how to do netcode, or not how to do netcode, but I really want to hear how you did it because it's interesting to me. But the problem is I have no clue. You know, I build capacitors as my day job or something like this. I'm an engineer for that. So I know stuff about physics, and I can tell you a lot of interesting facts about the 30 Years War, for example. But are you? And you said beforehand that a lot of the stuff from the old game is actually, let's say, recycled, but still in use.
Yeah, same ideas are.
How does this work? That you 20 years ago you built such a solid netcode that it's still in basic use today, and why are not every game? Why does that work? Why doesn't it work with every other game? You know.
I don't know. I love to talk about this. So there's no secret. So I can talk about it if you want.
Oh, that's good.
If you want to hear. But
everybody have the notepad ready and write it down, and we get the secret.
I have told this to many people. The thing is that first of all, when I say that it's the same, it's the same basic principles. So it doesn't mean that it's exactly the same code, but
sure.
Because I don't know how technical to go, but there are basically two ways to make two ways to make racing game netcode. That if you now talk about the low-level synchronization, that you can have server authoritative server or peer-to-peer. So it can be that the server has control on everything that you cannot cheat because server always knows what's possible.
Okay.
Or then you have peer-to-peer, which usually means that all the clients decide where they are, and both ways have the pros and cons. But the thing with back when I made the first turbo sliders, I don't even know that much about the peer-to-peer possibility. So it seemed that the only way to do it was to do it the server. That was the only correct way, and it was. I didn't invent it myself. That I read similar how to make this kind of synchronization in other games. So it was not my invention or anything, but it's basically that server has to decide exactly how the world is. Then clients just try to hang in there. So if some client has bad ping, it doesn't affect the other clients because server always has in turbo sliders, it's just if somebody has high ping, you have more lag, you have more warping, you see the more other cars warping more. But if you are close to the server, everything's very smooth to you, even the players who are far away. And how that's done, it basically the hard part here is that clients need to have prediction. So if you are say 200 milliseconds away,
then the server needs to know beforehand, according to your inputs, where your car is going to be.
Yeah. So it works so that clients, well, time is relative. So so when clients send their control, now I'm turning right, it can take 100 milliseconds before it reaches the server. And when it reaches the server must not have played that tick yet. So client has to be forward in time enough so that, and when the server gets that info that now turned right, it's not back in time. If it's back in time, then you will immediately see.
Okay. Because then the peer and the server are not synchronized anymore. So you have to get the sort of, how's it called, tick rate? Would that be the correct?
Well,
or the timing. You have to get the timing of the server correct.
It's 50 ticks per second, but it means that when you send the controls, they have to arrive in time. So this client has to be forward in time, and that's the hard part for clients. So this is actually very easy for server, because server can work as it was single player game or local game or something. That it has to know that when all the controls have to be timestamped. So it may also be that client sends that I'm going to turn right in 20 milliseconds, but server doesn't take that into account until when that time really comes. But the hard part for clients, and why people don't do this so often, is that for clients this to work, clients have to predict the future a lot. So when you get the state from server, if the ping is 200 milliseconds, it means that you need to go 10 physics ticks forward in time, and so you have to keep track of all the controls that people had. You know all your own controls. You don't necessarily know all the other people's controls, but you know all your own controls, at least. So your own car usually feels very smooth because you can replay that. But the hard thing is that you have to basically run sometimes like something like 10 physics ticks in one frame or in 20 milliseconds. So that's the thing that where many other people, when they make racing game, they focus on making super complex and realistic and great physics, but they cannot run that 10 times in one.
Because the calculating power is not sufficient enough to have these calculations 10 times in the needed time frame. And then these synchronizations happen because the simulation that the server runs or the simulation that the peer runs, depending on the system you use, doesn't match what is actually happening with the.
Other games usually don't even try that because usually they don't. The peer-to-peer, the problem with that, the good thing about that is that you may have very bad connection and very laggy, and it may be disconnecting, and your own car will drive smoothly if the client can decide where it is. But the hard thing comes when two cars collide. So what to do when two cars actually are supposed to collide, and who decides where the cars are when they collide? That's
true. Then it's a problem. Does peer A or peer B decide? The collision is like on this side of the car, or is more in front, more in the back, because all of this affects the physics. Then you get turned differently. And
when server decides everything, server always knows what happens, and nobody can see it on anything that.
So server is king basically.
You will see sometimes if you have especially if you have bad ping or latency, then you will see warping when things didn't go as you predicted, and if somebody just before hitting somebody had turned left, but you didn't get info about that, then it might be that its collision is a bit different. But if the ping is less than 100 milliseconds, it seems to work pretty well, as you probably have noticed.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, sometimes when you have like bad ping, for example, I know that Igiyawa sometimes has like some troubles, and then it here also from time to time says it's unplayable today. But then if he connects to another VPN or uses whatever mobile phone internet connection, all this stuff, then it usually works out for him, because then the connection is a little better, and once you are in the like magic ping range, then it is
one thing that
very playable. Let's use this.
One thing that can be problematic is also if the ping is changing a lot, so it goes sometimes up, sometimes down, then it has to compensate. There's this logic that tries to have the right prediction, and there's some kind of window, but if it goes over that, then it has to warp forward or backward in time, and you will notice always those. And as I said, that it's the same basic principles as in the old game, but I do have lots of small improvements related compared to the old one. Of course, I have learned something in 20 years, so.
Hey, that's nice.
I've worked with other people. I have worked in some other multiplayer projects and learned from people who have been making Flat Out and games like that. And I guess it's peer-to-peer based, but still there you can still learn from other things. And there are ways to make peer-to-peer work better also. But the main problem with that is when two people collide, how to handle the collision so that it doesn't explode or that you hit on some invisible part of something like that. And that's the hard part with making peer-to-peer work with car games like this. And I guess you have noticed that in some other games that have had these kind of issues. Especially the problems are usually when you collide with other players.
That was like it in Circuit as well, where it was just like difficult. I mean, I understand that it's like the technical stuff behind it is very. I think Circuit Superstars also, you need maybe peer-to-peer when you go to different consoles and you have crossplay, because then I think maybe that the different clients play a larger role, at least from the very limited resources I found about that. But not important. What I'm interested in, I mean, you developed your original vision with Turbo Sliders, then you said, hey, 3D is also nice. Let's do this. Did unlimited. Do you plan on, I don't know, making a what comes after 3D 40 game or so?
40,
but are
yeah.
you are you or do you say, okay, I want to support Turbo Sliders Unlimited as long as it's possible, and I don't have any plans for let's say, I don't know, I don't want to say a sequel, but for a different game in the larger Turbo Sliders, a different racing game.
But at least at the moment, I don't have any like immediate plans. But of course, if somebody comes waving money and says, let's
okay,
let's
okay. So if I give you €5, then you're
maybe a bit more than
10.
My point more is that I think that there is lots of tech in Turbo Sliders that could be used in some more commercial game also. But at the moment, I'm in a way very happy about this project. Is very dear to me, and it's making some money, not enough to live with that, but enough that I can continue it as a hobby, and that's actually for players. I think it might be better than if it was so that this was some real company behind it that had to fight for survival all the time. Then it would
that would be a very pressurable situation where stuff is then sometimes very hard to get. So, but I mean, you recently updated the game again with some very nice AI pitting and stuff like this. What are your do you have any I mean, I know you have a huge list of stuff you want to do, but what are you like? What can we look forward to? What can we be excited about?
Yeah, that's a good question. But since this is not real company, I cannot really. I always said I promise nothing.
Yeah,
but yes, I said I have a long list, and actually the previous update took longer than I hoped, and it was a bit painful because the AI pitting. I knew it would be very hard, and it was very hard, and there are still lots of ways to improve it. And I don't feel it was. I think it was necessary feature. It was nice to get done, but still, it's kind of.
I know from your posts you are a little bit unsure if it was really necessary to go through all the pain, because I can imagine you need to run a lot of predictions for each of the own AI cars, so that they know exactly, okay, yeah, I pit now or I don't.
Yeah, it's very, especially if you combine that with all the different modes that you can have. All the settings can be changed, so you can knowing when exactly to pit. It's quite random now, so because it's very hard to make optimal system, and even if you do, most people wouldn't notice it. And that's something I have learned as AI programmer in other projects, that more simple the AI is, the better it is usually, because usually players don't notice won't notice the difference really, and sometimes having random is better than having 5,000 lines of code doing something very clever that nobody realizes what's going behind. But depends on the game, of course.
Probably you are right. With the simpler the AI is, the better it is. But
of course, it depends so much on the context and what kind of games we are talking about. For example, if you talk about FPS games, some AI character's job is to come from behind the corner and try to shoot player, and then you can't put much intelligence in that. And
but I always found it fascinating thinking about the AI for racing games, because at the one hand you don't want to make it too much with rubber banding, because whenever I play, like, for example, the old Need for Speeds, like Need for Speed Most Wanted, for example, or Need for Speed Underground 2, have a lot of rubber banding AI, and I always feel annoyed by this, because I know I am far better than the car that I am chasing now, but the game artificially makes it harder for me because it's too stupid to think of another system. But then if you don't make it rubber bandy and make it super hard to beat, then you get Steam reviews saying, it's too hard.
Yeah, TSU actually has some amount of rubber banding, but usually so that if players really bad, the good AIs still go as fast, but the slower ones try to.
Yeah.
But all those are also tunable. as everything, so that you can make your own campaigns that do or do not have rubber banding.
And
so on. But yes, that is with the racing game AIs. That is a problem, and also how to make them. I'm actually quite happy about how if you play the first campaign events, how the AI cars are all over the place. They are not all driving the same line.
Definitely. There's a lot. I mean, it's hectic. It's a little stressful, but it's very entertaining how much the AI is just around the player and around itself. And it's not like everybody follows one clean line. It's really like the nice chaotic stuff you would expect from an early campaign, stuff like this.
Of course, what I have painfully learned from watching new players play or reviews, that people feel that they are too pushy, but pushy in the sense that when you are in the curve, they
just slam into you.
But again, that's something that once you learn how they work, then you can
counter push.
What their also is, so you can always try to argue that it is good, but of course players decide what they like and what they don't. So I cannot argue with that.
It's what would you say? I mean, I'm sure you played a lot of other racing games instead of just Turbo Sliders and Turbo Sliders Unlimited. What would you say are your favorite AI systems in other racing games?
I must confess that I haven't really played recent racing games that much, so I'm not.
I can also confess that I haven't as well. The most recent racing game I have played is maybe BeamNG, but this is more due to the crash physics being so nice and not because the AI is so great.
So I watched some videos about also as a research to see how other games have done. So videos, but it seems that mostly when people make videos about racing AI, they tell how much they suck in different situations. So it looks like nobody has really cracked it. But I guess it's the same. It's hard problem to rule properly. I haven't, about racing games in general, I haven't really played that many really realistic games, especially lately, because I somehow feel that you don't get the feeling with real cars. You can kind of feel when you are about to lose the traction. And
the feeling doesn't translate really. I mean, you probably need a wheel with good force feedback. Then I think it's somewhat interesting. I tried this as well, but I don't really like the various simulator stuff, because I don't like if I have to get $1,000 or 4,000 euros in extra hardware just to play a game, and then you have like half an hour of setup work, drive one lap, get crashed in turn one, and then you say, okay, my afternoon is done. I think I don't know if you have played it, but in my opinion, one of the best. It's like semi-realistic, but one of the best AI systems that I experienced is maybe Race Driver Grid. This is.
I haven't tried that either, but maybe that's something to try out.
Because this had like very cool. You know, if you were not so good yet, you had still some. It's a little similar like to how you explained it before and in Turbo Sliders. If you were very bad, you still had some cars to fight, and sometimes the AI maybe also crashed so that you make up a place or two, but the cars up in front were still so good that you actually had to be very competitive. And it was a good mix of that. And you had an AI controlled teammate all the time with you, who also like. I mean, it was a little bit manufactured, you know, but if he had good, like, I think it was team player value or something like this, then he sometimes also let you pass. That was a very interesting system.
Yeah, I think the extra challenge with Turbo Sliders is that cars can be so different and game modes can be so different. So it's if you have this, like the default campaign is this arcade thing, then it's still quite okay that the other players are pushing you, and because that's kind of what it is. It's this kind of demolition derby kind of racing. But if you then have more realistic cars and like try to simulate real formula, then it's completely different rules, and you should have better ways to do the overtaking and stuff like that. So you should have completely different AI systems for those to make them really good.
did you ever consider, or did you ever like a community created vehicle so much that you thought you should implement it in the normal single player stuff?
There are lots of nice cars, but I'm not planning to add new cars because there's one practical problem is that if I add one more car, I have to make AI lines for all the.
Yeah, true. This is probably like 200 hours of work. But maybe Igiyama helps you with his driver task card, then you're on a good side.
In hindsight, I should have made some system that automatically generates those lines, but that's and also it's lots of work also it's not only actually I don't know if it shows, but at how many people actually play the original cars together, but they are quite even in the sense that with the original levels and original cars, you can in most levels you can make it cars choosable, and they are quite even. And I spent some time to make that happen. So adding new car would kind of change the balance, but I don't think it would really matter. And of course, Formula TSU is kind of semi-built in car. It's not in the packet, but or is it actually? No, it isn't. But it's something that I use in the Sunday sessions a lot. It's it was heavily inspired by what people had made. I tried to make the community Formula a bit more drivable and a bit more arcadey. So.
Yeah. Do you have other favorite community creations?
Of course, like I'm not going to name now one because it would. I don't want to. People who are not mentioned be felt out, but I'm amazed about how many great tracks and cars and campaigns and everything. And so I'm really happy and grateful for all the stuff that people are making and adding to workshop, because that's what the game is about. And it's my role is more like enabling, making the sandbox and making it possible for people to do all the amazing stuff. And so I'm
filling up the sand again. Do you have? I mean, normally people request features from you, but do you have like a track that you want to see done and you haven't seen yet, or a car, or I don't know, a campaign or whatever?
That's maybe my things are more about game mode things, like how inventing new game modes and stuff like that. So I'm of course very happy about all the new tracks, and because it's even if it's similar to old ones, it's always feels a bit different. It's always nice to have new tracks. So I'm very happy with all the new stuff, especially when people invent something new or find new ways to decorate levels, and there are people who have invented new.
I mean, look at
ways that I couldn't imagine, and that's always great.
Yeah, I think the best example for this is like Locus track, for example, or Locus tracks with his big boob. How is she called? Lotta Sisu. Yeah, with the figurine, or like the Mumilaxo. The Mumilaxo track is so great, but also like.
Obviously, one good example, but the problem that I don't. There are many others. And
you don't have to call specifics out. That's why I'm here. You know, I can.
And I forget one name or somebody, then that.
I'm okay with upsetting people. That's normal stuff for German.
I go through all the new levels that come to workshop, and I love them all, and I hope.
It's interesting. I mean, I'm a lot more focused on racing because I love it so much, and I love that Turbo Sliders gives me the opportunity to live out all of the stuff. But it's interesting. I rarely or seldomly say to myself, "Oh yeah, it would be interesting to create a new game mode." But I think this is the crazy thing. You can absolutely do this with no problem in TSU.
Yeah, and maybe related that, and you asked about new features also, that maybe, as I mentioned, that adding the AI pitting has been kind of how to put it, like lots of not so nice work, let's put it that way. And so adding some new game modes might be something more fun, like adding these are now. I'm not saying these are happening, but something people are somebody just mentioned like having mines. That's one obvious thing, is like having new weapons to new game modes. That's of course something that could be done.
Maybe like a small speed booster, something like Moss or something like this.
I'm not, no promises, but I'm just listing things, and then for some things that people have invented their own game modes that are supposed to be played with certain game modes or with certain cars. So just having a way to, maybe that's something that should be added, that level could have signature car or something like that. So that you're supposed to, you could still drive it with any car, but by
this
default.
Is the signature, and with the signature car, for example, that would make it easier for you with like leaderboards and stuff. Because right now I think every leaderboard is set up for sporty. I think.
That's some Steam limitation. That, that or not Steam limitation, but you basically have to have different leaderboard for all car and track combination, and if you have all of those, there will be too many of them.
I know the pain from like the Group T days where I always ask you, hey Ande, can you create a leaderboard for this car and these 15 cars with these 17 tracks and stuff like this.
I wish I could. Technically it would be easy for me to just enable it so that leaderboards would be automatically created, but I don't know. I'm a bit scared what would happen at some point when Steam realizes that there are 100,000
the permutations get a lot really fast with all the stuff that is online.
Actually, I'm not sure if I don't know how much. Probably most of the leaderboards are empty because there are like people don't play all tracks with creepy, for example. And
true.
Waiting those, so maybe there should be some. Well, I have to think about it.
So one last thing. I know you are a lot more interested in like the crazy game modes, but do you actually follow the community leaks that are going on? Are you trying to keep up, or is it just too much for you?
Well, I try to. It's too much in the sense that I would follow every race, but I'm very happy to see when things are happening, and I know when they are happening because I'm also adding the ads to the main page.
Yeah, true. And you can watch the news videos if you need to.
And I am watching the streams often, and I'm often also checking the results and so on. So that's always feels very good when people are doing that. I cannot say that I would know who won the last event on OCR or
OCR. It was Cyberpunk actually.
Yeah.
He won last week on Thursday.
But I'm very happy to see the videos made out of those, and I'm very happy to share whatever videos people make, and especially if you make them on Twitter, I can reshare them. It feels that I have so few followers on YouTube that doesn't help. That I try to share your videos also, but I don't think if they get any more. If they get any more exposure because of that, because I don't have that many YouTube followers.
Yeah. It's. I mean, I like to do the videos. I obviously don't do them like with commercial aspect or stuff like this. But sometimes I think to myself, hey, if some more people would discover my channel or the Turbo Sliders channel or the stuff in general, then we could have some more players and maybe some more leaks going on, some stuff. But
they were very, very grateful for you doing that. Thank you very much.
It's no problem. I'm very happy to help out where I can. It's just because it's like, for me it's like, not a wasted opportunity, but it's a shame to see like you go online, and I mean I am used to it, but it's a shame to see there are 5 servers, and on maybe one server there are 3 people online or something like this. And sometimes I then understand why people who freshly bought the game and expected a nice thriving thing, then they see this and they say, oh okay, then it's just abandonware. But on the other hand, then I think to myself, hey, there on the main menu there are 2 lines written there saying this event is happening then, this event is happening then, come join, with a join button. Is it that hard to schedule this? It's
there are two big buttons: Discord, join Discord.
Yeah.
Still, I guess it's hard for people to understand that most people most people maybe just want to play like alone or something. They didn't want to be part of the community. They may want to have more relaxed.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that there's also a bit of a barrier of entry, because to get to be a part of the community, you first have to like be a little bit outgoing, or you have to connect to the actual people. And then I think it sometimes it's not something that everybody wants to do. If you are a little bit more introverted, then you probably say, no, I'm just fine on myself. Okay. I think I don't want to steal your time any longer. Ande, thank you so much for being here with me. I hope that...
Thank you for inviting me, and if you have more topics to discuss later, we can.
Oh yeah. I'm very happy to do this on a weekly basis. You know, probably. I mean, I skipped an appointment today to be able to do this, but I will do this next week. So no problem. Okay, thank you so much, Ande, for being here. I hope everybody who watched this enjoyed the interview. Ande, do you have some final words before I end the recording?
Well, hello to all the millions of people watching this. I hope it will be.
I hope it will be millions.
And thank you to everybody who made it this far.
True.
And I hope I made it clear. Told it many times enough that I'm very grateful all the community. All the people in the community doing anything they do, and so all just playing the game. That's the most important part. That people organize events and take part in events, and I'm very happy to see that happening.
That's a very nice thing to end on.